Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, welcome to another market open stream. Today, there are a lot of new things to talk about, including this visit, okay, from Donald Trump. So let's talk about how the president is going to visit the Fed and what that means and why he's doing it. And let's talk about everything else that's going on that relate to Bitcoin and crypto. All right. Let's do it, guys. Welcome. Actually, let me start here. We are starting out day 118.6. Again, pretty much the same spot we started yesterday. We tend to get these shakeouts. I mentioned it in my video yesterday and last night. We get these shakeouts, like Bitcoin drops a little bit, and then all of a sudden it just comes right back up. Right now is definitely not a time to be scared. Definitely don't be scared out of the market. This is the wrong time for that. Just know that there'll always be shakeouts. It's not new. We have gone through this so many times. Look at all those red. Right now, it's barely, if you zoom out, it barely looks like we had any shakeout. Looked like we pretty much are going sideways. But man, we had times, even back in June, look at that. Look at that shakeout, and look at some of these other shakeouts. We're not even seeing that. We're pretty much going sideways. Time where we should just continue to hold on DCA. That's it. There should be no fear at this point. None whatsoever. Not at 118.7 right now. But there are a lot that are still kind of antsy, kind of scared. That's not the way to do it. Today, the U.S. market kind of mixed. Dow heavily in the red, but NASDAQ and S&P in the green. The biggest news, of course, is what I just started out with. Trump visiting the Fed Reserve. Why is he doing that? Well, every time President Trump gets asked about whether he's going to fire Powell, he's been backtracking and saying no. Even though his Truth Social tweets keep saying that he's going to find a replacement, he's going to kick him out. He called him stupid and too slow. He even Trump even wrote him a handwritten letter to put pressure on him. Now this is the ultimate sign. He didn't even, if I was Trump, I would think that I would summon Powell to come to the White House and talk. But no, he's going himself, which is kind of strange, right? That's showing who has the real power here. To me, that's showing Powell has the real power. Even Trump has to go visit him, not vice versa. But we'll see. Obviously, this is Trump's attempt to put more pressure on Powell to start cutting rates immediately, starting this month. We have an FOMC meeting next week, I believe. And it would be great if we started cutting. But Powell does not want to cut. He's afraid of inflation ticking upwards, and he thinks lowering rates will do further damage. So that's kind of where we are. But I don't know. For me, it just seems like this is kind of backwards. You would figure, well, I mean, the Fed is supposed to be independent, okay? So I guess that's why. The Fed is independent, even though it's weird because the president gets to appoint Fed chairs. He has the power to appoint Fed chairs, but he doesn't have the power to fire them. And I guess if he tried to summon Powell, Powell could say no because the Fed Reserve is supposed to be independent of the administration. So it's a weird relationship. It is a weird relationship. But I mean, to me, it just seems like Trump should not be the one visiting. It should be the other way around. But anyways, That's what's happening today. It's happening today. And let's see what happens afterwards. I'm sure Trump is going to post something on Truth Social about it. Outside of this, what is it? There's a trade deal, or trade talks, I should say, between the U.S. and EU. But it seems like there's no guarantee right now. After Japan, which was a huge one, the tension is EU. But you know what? The EU may just say, no, screw it. We don't need a trade deal. I don't know. I think they're still going to make a deal. America is the biggest buyer, is the biggest importer of like all goods around the world. Not making a deal and trying to retaliate against the U.S. is not going to work out. This is why all these other countries, even China, has caved and made a deal. Okay, so I think the EU will make a deal, but they're trying to play hardball right now. What else is there? Tesla. Tesla not down 6%. It's down 9%. Elon's company is not doing so well. Less and less people want to buy EV cars, especially in Europe right now. A lot of stiff competition from Chinese automakers, and of course, Elon's political moves have really turned off a lot of people, so they're not doing good after their quarterly results. All right. So that's kind of like the macro stuff. Let's get to the Bitcoin stuff. Flow yesterday, another outflow day, a huge outflow from Fidelity, but decent inflow into BlackRock, 143 million, but overall net outflow of $86 million. However, on the flip side, Ethereum still took in a whopping 332 million. That's like a whole week now where Ethereum inflow massively outperformed Bitcoin inflows. There's something there. There's something there. I think we can't ignore that. This is the first time in history. It's not just like one time. This is 5 days in a row. So, is this kicking off altcoin season? Possibly. But I kind of talked about this last night. Jim Cramer, who has been very wishy-washy about Bitcoin in general ever since 2017. He's on, he's off, he's on, he's off, on and off. Now, he's talking about how Bitcoin is a hedge against all the irresponsibility of our government and this debt that keeps on increasing, 38 trillion. He's worried. But man, he has turned back to Bitcoin hardcore. He says Bitcoin is the hedge. Not stocks, not gold, not bonds, but Bitcoin. I know everyone loves and thinks inverse Cramer is always right, and normally it is. But I know this in this case he is right, because that's what I believe, and that's what all the Bitcoiners and the Bitcoin maxis, anyone that understands Bitcoin believes, that Bitcoin is a hedge. It's a hedge because it's different. It's not controlled by any entity. It has a set supply. You can't apply monetary policy to it. It's not controlled by anyone, any sovereign nation or entity. I mean, all the inherent things that make fiat or feds or central banks bad, Bitcoin doesn't have, right? So, good for Cramer. Good for Jim Cramer. Let's just hope inverse Cramer isn't right this time around. All right. And then you still have the usual, not usual, but yeah, you have some usual newcomers in this space. Semler Scientific purchased 175 Bitcoin, now has over 5,000. You have this new Japanese nail salon operator that just purchased 80 Bitcoin. They must be a huge nail salon operator. You got this other Satsuma Technology buys 100 million pounds of Bitcoin. I mean, you know, every day you have more buying, more buying, more buying, even though the ETFs have slowed down. But don't let that fool you, okay? Because the whales, the large institutions, the big money, they're loading up. They're stacking regardless. Look at this, okay? Look at the red and then look at the blue. Blue is retail. The number of Bitcoin that retail investors have been going down since the beginning of the year. But look at the red, especially the last month. You got a lot of buying going on behind the scenes. These guys are loading up, and you can't tell me that all that buying is going to equate to nothing. No. This is the reason why we keep ticking higher and higher and higher, and volatility is so low now. So don't be fooled, okay? Don't be scared. Continue to do what you're doing. DCA and HODL. That's it. We are going to make a new high. We're right at the cusp. And according to Ali, next levels are 131, 144, and 157. So anyways, we are heading up. We're in that next leg up. We're going to end up somewhere between 130 and 150. And then we're going to hover there for a little bit. And then we will get ready for 200. End of this year. It's coming. It's coming. Now, what about altcoin season? So did ETFs start altcoin season? According to the CMC Altcoin Season Index, I didn't know they had this, but according to this, no, we're not in altcoin season. Not yet. Although I argue the last week certainly feels like it, with the exception of yesterday. Yes, yesterday most came down, but it didn't wipe out the week of gains. And look at this. Look at top 100 performance over 90 days where Bitcoin is. And look at all the ones that have outperformed Bitcoin. And there are a lot. There are a lot of memes there. There's also a lot of L1s. And DeFi projects. And candidates for ETFs. There are a lot. Right? But we're not truly in altcoin season yet. We're not seeing everything explode. But more and more, it looks like we have started. And this is a really good thing because prior to last week, it seemed like we may not get altcoin season. But now that institutions are FOMOing in, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money coming into this space. But unfortunately, again, we're not really led by retail. We're led by institutions. Retail needs to step up. Retail needs to be not so scared and come in. Otherwise, retail is going to be driven out. That's honestly what's happening right now. Even institutions are loading up on ETH. Soon they're going to be loading up on Sol and XRP and Cardano and everyone else. Even Sui. Sui has their own ETFs. Right? We need retail to grow a pair, basically, and continue to hodl and DCA and not sell out anytime we have a little dip. Speaking of Sui, according to Grayscale, Grayscale, I believe, also has an application. According to Grayscale, when you compare Sui to all the other, not all the other, but like 4 other top L1s, it has the fastest theoretical TPS, and the cost is the lowest, and the finality time is the lowest. So from a technology standpoint, Sui is faster than Cardano, Tron, Sol, or ETH. It kind of makes sense because it's the newest kid in the block. Kind of makes sense. Also, they're available on Fireblocks, so they're trying, which is a big custodian for institutions, major firms, and they want to be part of the game, especially when the ETFs get approved. What else is there? I saw this. It's not a good thing. A lot of you guys know who Chris Larson is because of my most famous and most educational XRP video ever created. Zach XBT is saying that Chris Larson is trying to sell at the top, moving 175 million XRP to an exchange. Honestly, I'm going to fight. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, okay? This guy has $8.4 billion with XRP. He owns like 6%, no, 4.6% of XRP's supply. I mean, if the guy wants to sell some, I know 175 million sounds like a lot to all of us, okay? But this guy's a billionaire. So if he wants to sell 175 million to go buy a yacht or buy some crazy mansion, man, he has the right to do so, okay? Like, honestly, if you had $8 billion with XRP, you see it make a new high, and you want to take a little off the top, that's your business. You have the right to do that. But, unfortunately, a lot of people are tracking these guys and their wallets, and they can't do it in peace anymore. So I'm coming to Chris Larson's defense. Now, if he's selling $1 billion worth of XRP at top, then yeah, maybe, he deserves some criticism. Like, this is like nothing compared to what he has. And again, these guys, hey, they made it. They want to spend it. Like Jeff Bezos just took ownership of a $500 million yacht. Maybe Chris Larson wants to buy a yacht of his own, right? But, just point that out. What else? This is also very positive coming September. FTX is going to pay out nearly $2 billion to creditors in September in stables, not in crypto. So you don't have to worry about people getting it back and selling. No, they're going to get stables, which means there's going to be $1.9 billion worth of purchases coming in September, especially when things get hotter. So that's good. And then last I saw this, we hear a lot about ICOs, IDOs, ILOs, like ways to raise money in crypto, right? But another way is selling nodes. But what's interesting about this is actually SEC approved because it's going through a licensed broker. So Republic is a broker, and according to this, they played development of Avalanche. But you have this DePIN company that is going to be selling nodes, okay, via this broker, and it's SEC approved, which we never had that before. But again, it shows you the changing landscape in the US. It's changing for the better, and we're going to get more and more creative ways to raise money for companies and projects in the future. So that's good. That's good. All right. Pretty red today all around, although it could certainly turn green. There's really no reason why it's red today. But Bitcoin is still holding. A lot of the alts are holding. Sui's coming up in the green today. ETH is coming up in the green today. All right, let's have some Q&A. Look how, excuse me, look how steady this is. Just like for about a month now. No, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Sideways, basically. Gabriel asked, do you think stacking XRP safely by the banks will be available in the future? Yes. There's an argument to be made that they are ready. Some are already stacking. Many will become custodians. Many banks are already custodians for Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're probably going to add XRP in there. But, you know, Bank of America, one of their VPs have come out and said that they internally use XRP Ledger for all their internal transfers. I don't know if that's real, but I don't know why he would be lying about it. So you could argue some banks are stacking up. But I would think they would be using the new stablecoin, RLUSD, versus XRP because there's no volatility on it, right? But regardless, it's a Ripple product. Wisteria says the longer it goes sideways, the higher Bitcoin will go up in the long run. Yep. Iggy says Q4 will make non-believers into maxis. Yep. But every cycle, there's always new people coming in. Otherwise, it'll be a pretty boring market. Those of us that have lived through a few cycles or even one cycle, we know things are going to come back. And things are already, I mean, we're double. We're like close to double of our high of 2021. So if you're not a believer, then I don't know what's going to convince you. But there's always new people coming in. Do you think Ondo could hit $10? Ondo's getting their own ETF too. $10 this cycle? Probably not. That's 10x from here. I don't think so. $5? 5x? 6x? Could happen. 10x? A little too much, I think. Bitcoin dominance. You see, after dipping to about 60%, we're up to 61, 62%. It certainly did flip around. But, you know, according to this chart, I mean, according to these indicators, it was going to, or it should have, came back up because it was in very, very, very oversold territory. And again, this is dominance, so you can't really say oversold or overbought, but it was. So the interesting thing is to see if this continues back up all the way back to 66%. Then we know altcoin season didn't start. Or soon we see this start flipping down again. If we see this flipping down and continuing into the 50s, then for sure we have started altcoin season. JD EKG, appreciate that, man. Thank you. Myrna. What do you think about Say? Outperform better than Sui? I don't know if it's going to outperform, but I like Say. They have made a name for themselves. They have done tremendously well over last month. I don't know if it's going to outperform Sui, though. Sui has a lot of momentum, they have a lot bigger base. But both projects, I think, will do well. Eagle Eye says, when RLUSD is used for transactions, it still incurs the standard XRP transaction fee, which is burned, removed from it. That's a good point. That's a good point. Because you're not paying the fees with RLUSD. You're paying with XRP because it's on the ledger. That's a really good point. I don't know why I didn't think about that. So you still need XRP. They still need to buy some XRP. But the burning is very small. It's not tremendous. The main thing is they have to hold XRP for transactions. Matthew, I don't even understand all the complexities that make up Bitcoin, like UTXO security. I mean, like a lot of coins do. Anyways, even if I broke that down, no one really cares. Ultimately, what you need to understand is 99% of people just want to know how to make money. They don't care anything about the underlying chains or activity or community or how they work, whether they're decentralized. 99% of the people just want to know what to buy and how they're going to make money. That's ultimately what it comes down to. So if you make a very complex technical video explaining things, it will be the worst video based on performance because no one wants to see it. I mean, honestly, it's the same way as me. Like when I hear someone get really super technical, when I meet someone super technical about how their chain works, it's like, okay, it sounds good, but you know, there's a million other chains that work similarly or it could be even better. I wouldn't know because I'm not an extreme security expert or a programmer. A lot of XRP comments. People must miss the educational video. Brianna, I'm glad you're enjoying boot camp. I'm seeing people in there every day. Blake is doing a good job. This is the very first one, remember. We're going to tweak it, but this is the very first one. People that are attending or have attended really love it. Hopefully you guys can, the rest of you guys can join next time. We're going to have one every single month, week long, absolutely free. Blake is doing a great job. But you guys in the meantime can sign up, enroll, join Discord, talk to the mods, talk to Blake. I'm in there sometimes. Everyone should be in it. I don't know why people aren't in it. Chit chat, is futures expiration still a thing? Does it still affect the market? Not as much as before, I'll say. Before, we would see some crazy volatility upon expirations. Not anymore. It's more due to this. And honestly, the more I pay attention to this, the more I realize, you know what, markets are just moving according to market makers. So right now, this is over 12 hours. If we do drop, and there could be a chance because we did yesterday, if we do drop, we probably will drop to 116.6 or 116 overall to liquidate more longs. However, going to upside, we definitely have this 118.8 leading up to 119 and then 120. So that's what it's looking like. We keep bouncing up and down, up and down, up and down. We slowly tick upwards, but we tend to keep bouncing. And it's really just market makers clearing out leverage. And when I say market makers, this one specifically is Binance. And Binance is by far the biggest market maker in the space. It's not even close. Bootcamp is live. It's over Zoom. It's very interactive. You could talk to other people. You could talk to Blake. Everyone should join. It's a free class. I don't know why you would not join, unless you just don't have time for it. It goes on at 1 p.m. Central, so it's in the middle of the day. In the U.S., for those of you guys in Europe, it's at night. But yeah, we'll tweak it. We'll continue to tweak it. Today is day 4, I believe. Why NASDAQ is up 6% today? It is not up 6% today. Clifton, yes, there is a way to watch the videos. There's a recorded video after every day. It's for bootcamp members, and you can still apply to watch them. Ricky V says 1 p.m. in the U.S. That's wife-changing time in the Netherlands. That comment is very wrong on many levels. Thera asked, George, is wife changing wealth 15 million or wife upgrading money? I'm not going to answer that. But you know what? What I will do is showcase the most educational video ever created about XRP. So I guess on that note, yeah, let's conclude. Things are still shaping up to be pretty darn good, but could be better after this visit. Let's see. Let's see if Trump could put some real pressure on Powell today. If so, the Powell caves could be very, very good. Very good indeed. So let's see what happens. All right. But overall, guys, continue to hodl, continue to DCA, stay strong. Things are still shaping up pretty nicely. So do not get feared out or scared out of the market. And now, the most educational video ever created about Ripple and XRP.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Larson.